Silence is powerful. In a world full of noise, opinions, chaos, and constant stimulation, silence becomes a rare and sacred space. Most people believe that the loudest voice is the strongest, but in reality, the strongest voice is the one that doesn't need to shout. You don't always need to react. And the sooner you learn that, the more peaceful your life becomes. The illusion of constant reaction. Every day, life throws little triggers our way: an annoying message, a rude driver, a passive-aggressive coworker, a comment that stings a little too much. And most of us, we react instantly, emotionally, because that's what we've been conditioned to do. But here's the truth. Reaction is not power. In fact, it's the opposite. When you react without thinking, you're giving away control. You let someone else decide how you feel, how you respond, how your day goes. You become a puppet pulled by emotions that aren't even yours. But silence is a choice. It's a quiet declaration that says, I choose peace over chaos. I choose intention over impulse. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful response you can give. Silence is not weakness. For a long time, I believed silence made you look weak, that if you didn't defend yourself, if you didn't speak up instantly, you were letting people walk all over you. I thought being silent meant backing down, losing. But I was wrong. True strength doesn't always speak. Sometimes it stands tall in stillness, because silence isn't about surrender, it's about self-control. Anyone can shout when they're angry. Anyone can talk over someone else. Anyone can argue to win. But it takes real discipline to sit with your feelings, stay calm, and choose not to react. Silence says, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I know who I am, and your noise doesn't change that. It's not avoidance. It's awareness. The truth is, not everything deserves a response. When you respond to every insult, every slight, every misunderstanding, you give those things power. You let other people write the script for your emotions. But silence rewrites that script. It puts you back in control. It shows people you are not easily shaken, that your peace isn't up for negotiation. And here's the twist. People respect you more when you don't always respond, because silence isn't passive, it's intentional. It creates space. It holds power. It lets your presence speak louder than your words ever could. So no, silence is not weakness. It's strength, unshakable, unbothered, unapologetic. The power of pause. There's a tiny moment between what happens and how you respond. It's barely a second, but in that second lies a lifetime of change. That pause, the one we often skip, is where your power lives. Most people don't pause. They react. Instantly, they speak before thinking, act before reflecting, and regret it later. But the pause gives you a gift, choice. You can breathe. You can assess. Is this worth my energy? Do I even care about this? Am I reacting out of ego or wisdom? At first, it's hard to pause. Your body wants to lash out. Your mind wants to be heard. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And suddenly, you're no longer a slave to your triggers. You become an observer not of others, but of yourself. You notice the tension rising, and you let it pass. You hear the words that would have hurt, and you let them go. You feel the emotion building, and you release it with a breath. In that pause, you're no longer controlled by the outside world. You become deliberate, rooted, free. And the best part? The more you practice pausing, the more peace you invite. Your mind quiets, your emotions balance, and you realize you never needed to win every moment. Sometimes the greatest victory is choosing not to fight at all. Protecting your energy. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves your reaction. Your peace, your mental clarity, they are sacred. And every time you let someone drag you into their chaos, you sacrifice a piece of that. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's necessary. There was a time when I felt guilty for staying silent, like I owed people an answer, an explanation, a reaction. But here's what I've learned. You owe no one your peace. You don't have to explain why you're walking away. You don't need to justify your silence. You're allowed to choose calm over conflict. When someone tries to pull you into an argument, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow or draining me dry? The loudest voices are often the most insecure. The ones who try to provoke you are usually fighting their own battles. Your job is not to fight their war. Your job is to protect your space. And it's not just about people, it's also about information. What you consume matters. Social media, news, negativity, gossip, all of it has a cost, and that cost is your peace of mind. So choose what you let in. Choose what you respond to. Guard your energy like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. And remember, just because someone throws you chaos doesn't mean you have to catch it. Choosing when to speak. There's a difference between staying silent and being silenced, between knowing when to speak and needing to say something just to be heard. Not every thought needs to be shared. Not every opinion needs a platform, and not every emotion needs to be expressed out loud. Sometimes speaking is power, but other times, silence is wiser when you learn to speak with intention, not impulse. Your words carry weight. They stop being noise and start being truth. Speak when it heals. Speak when it uplifts. Speak when it matters. But when you're angry, hurt, defensive, pause, because words born from pain often cause more of it, and once they're spoken, they can't be taken back. I used to talk just to fill silence. Now I sit with silence until I have something real to say, and people notice the difference. Because when you speak less, you listen more, and when you listen more, you understand deeper. This is how you connect, not by flooding every moment with sound, but by letting the right words find the right time. Let your silence be your strength, and let your words be sacred, because when you finally speak after being still, people listen. When you stay silent, you win twice. There's something powerful about not responding, not in a passive way, but in a conscious, deliberate, strong way, because when you stay silent, you win twice. First, you win by keeping your peace. Second, you win by giving others the space to reveal who they truly are. People often tell on themselves. Give them time. Give them silence. They'll show you who they are far more clearly than if you argue or interrupt. You don't have to defend yourself every time you're misunderstood. You don't have to correct every false rumor. You don't have to chase validation from people committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes the most powerful answer is no answer at all. In silence, you hold your dignity. You don't let others drag you into their emotional storms. You don't lower yourself to their level. And most importantly, you keep your energy intact. You'll notice something magical. The more silent you are, the more people begin to respect your presence, not because you're loud, but because you're intentional. When you speak less, your words matter more. When you react less, your actions carry greater weight. You don't lose anything by staying silent. You gain self-respect, you gain peace, and you gain power over your life. So next time someone tries to pull you into a storm, choose stillness, let them spin. You stay centered, because that's where you win not once, but twice. Living with intention. Once you start practicing silence, pausing, choosing when to respond, you begin to realize something profound. You've been living on autopilot for far too long. Most people are reacting to life, to people, to pressure, to pain. But not many are responding. Not many are choosing their path. Living with intention means waking up each day and asking, what kind of person do I want to be today? Do I want to be reactive? Or do I want to be grounded? Silence taught me to slow down, to stop rushing through emotions, to stop fighting battles I never wanted to be in. It taught me to become the observer of my thoughts, not the prisoner of them. It taught me to live from a place of center, not chaos. When you live with intention, you begin to realize you don't have to chase everything. You don't have to explain everything. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to show up fully, truthfully, calmly. Not every day will be perfect. You'll still stumble. You'll still feel triggered. But now, you'll know how to pause, how to breathe, how to choose. And over time, your life stops being a storm. It becomes a quiet, strong current, pulling you toward peace. So live intentionally, speak wisely, and when in doubt, choose silence, because sometimes silence isn't the absence of noise, it's the presence of everything that matters. And if you've stayed with me until now, maybe it means this message was something your soul needed to hear. Silence. It's not just about saying nothing. It's about saying everything without having to speak. In a world that rushes, reacts, and runs on noise, you have the power to move differently. You can choose to be intentional, to protect your energy, to pause, breathe, and decide what truly deserves your attention. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to explain your worth. And you certainly don't need to be loud to be powerful. Because real strength doesn't scream. It doesn't argue. It simply is. So today, I hope you walk away with one reminder. The most peaceful people aren't the ones who have perfect lives. They're the ones who've mastered the art of not letting chaos control them. Be that person. Be still. Be grounded. Be intentional. And if this spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs it, because maybe, just maybe, silence is the thing we're all searching for. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and join me for more soul-deep conversations. Until next time, stay kind, stay calm, and never forget, not everything deserves your reaction, but your peace always deserves protection.